Deep within the shadows of the Eurasian landmass, a tectonic shift in global power is occurring that threatens to rewrite the rules of modern warfare. For decades, Tehran and Moscow maintained a relationship of convenience, but today, that bond has hardened into a lethal military alliance. As the conflict in Ukraine reaches a critical fever pitch, the arrival of Iranian-made hardware on the front lines marks a significant escalation that Western intelligence failed to preempt. This is not just a localized skirmish, it is the birth of a new technological axis. We are witnessing the first major conflict where low-cost, high-impact suicide drones have leveled the playing field against billion-dollar. The skies over Kyiv have become a testing ground for the Shahed-136, a loitering munition that has revolutionized the concept of attritional warfare. These moped drones are deceptive in their simplicity, utilizing civilian-grade GPS and small engines to bypass sophisticated radar networks. Russia's reliance on Iranian technology reveals a desperate need for replenishment, but it also showcases Iran's evolution into a global arms exporter. The latest reports indicate that thousands of these units are now being manufactured in a joint venture factory located deep within the Tatarstan region. This industrial marriage signifies a long-term commitment that transcends a simple arms deal, effectively turning the Russian. Intelligence sources have recently confirmed a terrifying development: the transfer of short-range ballistic missiles, specifically the Fath 360 system, from Iranian silos to Russian launch sites. Unlike the slow-moving drones, these missiles provide Moscow with a high-velocity, precision strike capability that complicates the defensive calculus for NATO-supplied batteries. This transfer marks a breach of previous diplomatic red lines and suggests that Iran is no longer afraid of additional Western sanctions. In exchange, Tehran is rumored to be receiving advanced Su-35 fighter jets and S-400 air defense systems, fundamentally altering the balance of power in the Middle East. The trade is to bypass the watchful eyes of international maritime patrols. Russia and Iran have revitalized the international north-south transport corridor. This multimodal network connects the Caspian Sea directly to the Persian Gulf, creating a sanctions-proof artery for the movement of sensitive military cargo. Massive cargo ships, frequently turning off their transponders to evade tracking, carry a steady stream of drone components, ammunition, and raw materials between the ports of Astrakhan and Bandar Anzali. This logistics loop is shielded from Western naval interdiction, allowing both regimes to maintain their war machines despite being the most sanctioned nations on Earth. The corridor is more than a trade. Why would Iran risk further isolation to fuel a European war? The answer lies in the psychological doctrine of forward defense. By ensuring Russia remains a formidable counterweight to the West, Iran prevents the United States from focusing its full military attention on the Middle East. Furthermore, the battlefield in Ukraine serves as a massive live-fire laboratory. Every Shahed drone shot down provides Tehran's engineers with invaluable telemetry data on how to defeat Western electronic warfare suites. They are learning how to penetrate Patriot missile umbrellas and outmaneuver Gepard anti-aircraft guns in real time. This iterative cycle of destruction and data collection is making. For the Kremlin, the pivot toward Tehran represents a humiliating yet pragmatic admission of its domestic industrial limitations. Once a global leader in aerospace, Russia now finds itself dependent on a nation it once considered a junior partner. This dependency has forced Moscow to offer unprecedented concessions, including access to nuclear research and satellite intelligence sharing. We are seeing a strategic inversion, where the former superpower is being propped up by the very asymmetric tactics it once helped develop. The integration of Iranian instructors at Russian training grounds signals a deep cultural shift within the military hierarchy. The two nations are now tethered together in a survival pact, where the collapse of
the alliance extends far beyond physical munitions. It has moved into the digital realm. Collaborative cyber operations between Moscow's intelligence services and Tehran's hacking collectives are targeting critical infrastructure across Europe and the United States. By pooling their resources, they have created a sophisticated digital vanguard capable of launching devastating ransomware attacks and disinformation campaigns designed to erode public support for Ukraine. This synergy allows them to mask their footprints, often making it difficult for investigators to attribute specific attacks to a single nation. The goal is clear: to create a state of perpetual gray zone conflict, where the line.
One of the most concerning aspects of this partnership is the potential for nuclear cooperation. As Iran provides the conventional weapons Russia desperately needs for its ground campaign, there are growing fears that Moscow is providing the technical assistance required for Tehran to cross the nuclear threshold. Satellite imagery has detected increased activity around Iranian enrichment facilities, coinciding with visits from high-ranking Russian nuclear scientists. While both nations officially deny such cooperation, the strategic logic is undeniable. For Russia, a nuclear-armed Iran creates a massive distraction for the United States, pulling resources away from the European theater. This high-stakes gamble could ignite a regional arms race, drawing in neighboring powers and.
Economics play a silent but pivotal role in this burgeoning alliance. Both nations have mastered the art of the shadow fleet, a collection of aging tankers used to transport illicit oil to global markets. By sharing tactics on how to hide ship-to-ship transfers and utilize shell companies in opaque jurisdictions, Russia and Iran have maintained a steady flow of revenue despite a global price cap. This financial lifeline allows them to fund their military operations and subsidize the production of new weaponry. The exchange of Russian grain for Iranian oil further strengthens this closed-loop economy, ensuring food security for Tehran and fuel for Moscow's hungry tanks. They have built an alternative financial system that. The ripples of the Iran-Russia war are felt from the shores of the Baltic to the sands of the Levant. NATO allies are being forced to rethink their entire defense posture, shifting focus toward high-volume, low-cost interceptors to counter the drone threat. In the Middle East, Israel and the Gulf states are watching with growing alarm as their primary adversary gains combat experience and advanced Russian hardware. The conflict has essentially merged two previously separate theaters of tension into one unified global struggle. This convergence is forcing a realignment of alliances, as nations that once remained neutral are now pressured to pick a side. The world is moving toward a bipolar reality, where the traditional rules of. Behind the geopolitical maneuvering and high-tech weaponry lies a staggering human cost. Iranian-made drones have systematically targeted Ukraine's energy grid, leaving millions of civilians without heat or water during the freezing winter months.
These attacks are designed to break the will of the population, yet they have only served to galvanize international condemnation. On the other side, the Iranian people face the consequences of their government's involvement through increased international isolation and economic hardship. The war has become a parasitic entity, consuming the resources and futures of both nations' citizens to satisfy the ambitions of their leaders. Every explosion in Kyiv or Kharkiv is a testament. As we look toward the horizon, the partnership between Russia and Iran appears not as a temporary alliance of convenience, but as a permanent fixture of the new world order. The integration of their military-industrial complexes has created a self-sustaining cycle of innovation and aggression that will be difficult to dismantle. The question is no longer if they will cooperate, but how far they will go to challenge the existing global hierarchy. The lessons learned on the battlefields of Ukraine will dictate the future of warfare for decades to come. Will the West find an answer to this asymmetric threat, or is the era of unchallenged dominance over? The shadow war has emerged in